Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to the YouTube channel of Multan Public School and College for Boys and Girls. This is Cambridge Biology 5090 for O Level 10. In this video, we will study about second part of Chapter 19, Effects of Human Activity on the Ecosystem. Students, by the end of this video, you should be able to discuss the reasons for conservation of species with reference to maintenance of biodiversity, management of fisheries, and management of timber protection. And then you should be able to discuss reasons of recycling materials with reference to named examples. Students, with the increase in human population, we are suffering from certain environmental problems, some of which will be discussed here, like food supply problems, like waste production, like water pollution, air pollution, and biodiversity depletion, in which habitat destruction and habitat degradation, extinction of organisms are included. We will study all these, and we have studied some of these in detail. Students, before we study conservation of species and the need for conservation, we first have to understand what is biodiversity. Biodiversity is the variety of plant and animal life in the world or in a particular habitat, a high level of which is usually considered to be important and desirable. For example, if we say that what is the biodiversity of Multan Public School, so it means that all the different types of animals and plants which are present in the school is the biodiversity of Multan Public School. Similarly, the biodiversity of Pakistan will include all the animals and plants of different kinds and species will be the biodiversity of Pakistan. So biodiversity boosts ecosystem productivity, where each species, no matter how small or how big, they all have an important role to play. For example, a large number of plant species means a greater variety of crops. Greater species diversity means more natural sustainability for all different life forms. Dears, biodiversity is a mixture of several species of plants, animals, and microbial organisms coexisting on the planet Earth. It is said that about 8.7 million different species are present worldwide. Moreover, the terrestrial biodiversity is usually greater near the equator, which is because of the warm climate and high primary productivity. Importance of biodiversity. Humans have always depended on the Earth's biodiversity for food, shelter, and health. Biological resources that provide goods for humans' use include: first thing is food, species that are hunted, fished, and gathered, as well as those cultivated for agriculture, forestry, and aquaculture. We get shelter and warmth from biodiversity. Timber and other forest products and fibers like wool and cotton. Similarly, medicines, both traditional medicines or the herbal medicines, and those synthesized from biological resources and processes. Students, let's see the need for conservation of biodiversity. So, conservation is the protection and preservation of natural resources in the natural environment. So, to maintain essential ecological processes and life supporting system, to preserve the diversity of species or the range of genetic material found in the organisms on the planet Earth, we need to conserve biodiversity so to ensure sustainable utilization of species and ecosystems which support millions of rural communities as well as the major industries all over the world. To ensure conservation of marine life as they are a major source of human food. Conservation is of scientific value. Why? Because the study of wildlife provides useful information to humans, like we learn about evolution from studying wildlife. Similarly, the rainforests, they are a house of large number of species of animals and plants. Many tropical plants are of great economic importance as they are the sources of raw materials for different industries, medicinal drugs, natural insecticides, foods, etc. Students, now the question arises how to protect biodiversity or how to do conservation of biodiversity. So the first point is to do legal protection of species. For example, of the endangered species like Indus dolphin, which is a blind dolphin. It is an endangered species in Pakistan. Preserve its habitats. Okay, creating natural preserves and parks for different animals. Creating habitat corridors, that is strips of lands where animals can migrate, like wetlands for birds. And the fourth point, which is not the last but and the least, reintroduction programs. Here organisms are released into areas where species once lived, example the bald eagle. Students, for conserving fishing grounds, measures must be taken to eliminate the pollution of rivers and seas. Moreover, fishing grounds or fisheries must also be carefully managed to prevent overfishing and indiscriminate fishing. The drift nets should be banned. They should be regulating entry of ships into the fishing grounds, limiting the fishing period, that is certain months in which the fish lay egg. In those months, fishing should not be allowed. Banning of the harvesting of endangered species. Similarly, encouraging the raising of endangered species in hatcheries and then releasing them into the natural habitat. Students, we know that forests are the lungs of the nature. They provide us with oxygen, they help us to moderate the weather. Moreover, they provide shade to the underlying plants and animals, and they protect the soil as well. So for that reason, conservation of forests is very much necessary. Education of the local people and all the community and the legislation, they play a vital role in conservation. Moreover, prevention of indiscriminate felling should be there. Young trees not to be felled. Reforestation to replace those trees that were cut down for timber. Moreover, the forestry department to look after the forest reserves. They need to see about the pests and the insects which are affecting the trees. Scientists in the forestry department to carry out research so that more and more trees can grow in a better condition. Dear students, in the previous chapter we have studied how nature is recycling nutrients like carbon, like nitrogen, phosphorus, water. So the recycling is benefiting us and our environment in a number of ways. As human beings, when we recycle things, it reduces waste disposal. For example, the recycling of newspaper, paper bags and cardboards, lesser trees are to be cut down and less amount of solid waste is produced. Similarly, recycling reduces pollution of solid waste. Certain industries like electroplating, they produce waste that contain metals. Recovery of these metals from the waste not only helps to conserve the metal but also helps to reduce environmental pollution. Similarly, there is less rubbish to be burnt as well. Third point is that recycling or the treatment of sewage saves water. So that untreated sewage pollutes streams, rivers and making the water unfit for human consumption. When sewage is treated in sewage works, the water is purified and then it is discharged into the nearby rivers or lakes, and it reduces water pollution. This water may later be used for human consumption and thus saves water. Recycling saves money and energy as well. How come? Now you see that the cans and bottle caps, when we crush them and recycle and make new containers, it saves energy and money. So we need to recycle different things. So guys, there is a quick guide for recycling. Okay, what you can see. We can see certain materials which we can recycle easily. So you have to recycle by emptying and rinsing. For example, the bottles, jugs, the glass, metal cans and containers, cardboards and cartons, newspapers and paper. But you see that there are certain materials which cannot be recycled properly. For example, plastic bags and wraps, styrofoam, the food which is left in the containers, and tanglers, example the hose, wire and rope. So we need to use lesser of these materials which cannot be recycled. With this, dear students, we have completed chapter 19, Effects of Human Activity on the Ecosystem. Now prepare the chapter for test. You can also see the past paper questions. If any difficulty, you can consult me. Make a poster or information leaflet for better understanding to promote the benefits of recycling and conserving biodiversity. This poster will be later on distributed in school and local community by photocopying it. Allah Hafiz, dear students. Stay home, stay blessed, exercise regularly, eat healthy. Allah Hafiz again.